I wonder if you have anything to help me about this idea about getting ready. I like that. It's a new idea to me.
The thing that a question like that does is it sort of defies everything that we just said. Because what it says is, if I were ready, I'd have the idea, and I must not be ready, so will you just give it to me?
That's true.
And so it won't be nearly as satisfying. In fact, you won't even be able to hear it. This man is talking about how he can sort of psychically predict some things, and there are a lot of you that get these premonitions. And so let's just, for a moment, imagine someone who has practiced being centered and in alignment so long that they can just relax and look into your vortex and not only tell you what's there, but tell you how in the next while it seems like it's going to unfold. And so they say, well, you're going to go here and you're going to go there, and you need to stay there about 2 days, and you need to spend a lot of time in that part of the city and be out where others can approach you and wear something red and see if you can find a bench that's facing that direction and stay there. And someone who is about that tall will show up and you're saying, wait, I need to write this down. The best example of this that we have seen Esther live is she and Jerry were visiting a friend who lived on the island of Maui. And they were way on the other side of the island, and they were going to visit him. And so they had a rental car, and it was before there were navigational systems in the cars. And so he is giving her directions. And it's all these Hawaiian words that are so many vowels. So he's spelling, and Esther's writing, and he said, now read that back to me. It was 4 pages long. Now read that back to me. And then he just mocked her and made fun of her as she tried to pronounce all of these words that he had spoken to her. And it was really difficult to find their way with this list and with the signposts and the directions and such. The navigational systems that you have today are so much easier because instead of a long list, it just gives you your next turn, sort of turn by turn. Well, when you get ready to be ready, you have these turn by turn directions. And when you ask someone else, and they give you all the turns, but you can't comprehend all of those, and you usually end up just jumping right back over here. And also, when somebody else is helping you do that, their intentions and their beliefs become part of the mix too. In other words, you have your own guidance system. Don't you want to just enjoy getting to know your own guidance system? Don't you want to get to know, when I feel like this, and I follow the impulse that comes from this feeling, and it turns out like this? Don't you want to be self-taught in this wonderful relationship that you have with your own guidance system? If we were standing in your physical shoes, we would never go somewhere and ask somebody, what do you see in my future? Because there's a high probability they're going to give you some of somebody else's future at the same time they're giving you your future, because no one can focus in to your vibrational DNA ready vibrational path the way your own inner being does. And so this is just our nice way, not so nice way, our easy way, not so easy way, our very blunt, direct way of saying to you, you've got your own guidance system. Use your own guidance system. Teach yourself your relationship with your own guidance system. Esther has a few different vehicles in a few different places, and each one of them has a different navigational system in it. They are similar in some ways, but different in other ways. And so it's awkward. She thinks that she's just going to buy the same car in every city, have the same navigational system and all the same buttons on the same places. You get what we're saying? When you connect with your own guidance system and learn how it works?
I do.
We know you think you do. But if you were really doing that, you would have said to us, Abraham, I've got this awesome guidance system within me, and I don't need to know everywhere I'm going, and this is why. What you've thrown into your vortex has become something that you might not even completely, wholly recognize. You think you want this specific manifestation, but the reason you want that manifestation is because you want to feel like this. And so your inner being is guiding you to an unfolding that will give you the satisfaction that you're really reaching for.
That makes sense.
This is a rudimentary example, but it's like you want to eat something delicious. Esther ate yesterday the most delicious macaroon that she has ever eaten. She woke up in the night hoping there was still some more in her teeth. She had brushed it all away. But if they had given her just a piece of the macaroon. There are things in it that are individually and in and of themselves not that satisfying to ingest. And a lot of the things that you put into your vortex in and of themselves would not be that pleasing to you. But when they all get mixed together in this wonderful recipe, and as you get ready to be ready and they begin to manifest, the satisfaction is so much greater.
I do feel like I've been really lucky, fortunate in my life, and usually it's when I am in line. And this is not a new idea, but it's feeling new again to me to let go and to be guided. And I do feel that a lot of the things that I think I want ultimately aren't what I really want. I'm at a kind of a crossroads in my life.
Well, everybody feels that way, and we are asking a lot of all of you today. What we're actually saying to you is, until you are able to accept the vibrational nature, then nothing that we're saying here is going to make any sense to you, or are you going to be able to apply anything that we're saying in any productive, specific, repeatable, duplicatable, receive success from it way. But this is really what we're coming down to. Your life experiences in their manifested form have taken on such a form of reality to you that they consume you in almost your undivided attention. So most of you are offering most of your vibration in response to what you are observing, which means it's a perpetuation of the same. But even within that perpetuation of the same, you are finding new rockets of desire. And so your vortex is continually being renewed by you, but there is so much in your vortex that you do want that you have not yet allowed yourself to really receive. It's like out here in physical form, almost everyone is looking for a relationship, a renewal of a relationship from a basis of feeling a bit insecure or a bit not enough or a bit like there's something more that they need. It's a little bit of instability. And so this is just one example. So people are jumping into the conversation of how can I get a relationship, or how can I make the relationship that I've got better? And we say you're jumping in at too much of a manifested point, because the momentum is already so far down the road on that you can't get there from here. And in fact, stay with us. You're so wise if you're able to do this, and we feel most of you still here. As you get into your vortex and you start reaching for the feeling, getting ready to get ready to get ready to get ready, what you will eventually come to realize is that you're not looking for your security from another person. You're looking for your stability from your connection to your source energy. And once you find your connection to your source energy, then everything in your relationship all along the way smooths out. And you have the most delicious relationships with others, because you're not looking for love in all the wrong places, and you're not looking for security in all the wrong places. You've found it, and now you're bringing it forward into the relationship rather than demanding that the relationship give it to you. It's like the difference between needing to see it before you believe it never ever works, because you've got to be in the vibrational place, which means you're believing it before you're going to allow yourself to receive it. And so one of the things that's really wonderful about you all is that you come to a gathering like this and you listen to us babbling about vibration and about getting ready to be ready, when the fact of it is you're standing smack dab in the middle of a relationship that's making all kinds of demands on you. You've already agreed to this. You already have children, or you already have relationships. You already have a job. You already have things that others are expecting from you and you're expecting from them. And so it sounds like crazy talk to listen to someone say, just let all that go for a little while. Let all that go for a little while and just get ready to rediscover it in new ways. But that really is what we're asking. Just 15 minutes a day of getting more ready. And what you will begin to discover is that there is so much more potential right under your nose that you're not letting in. You don't need another relationship in most cases for it to be wonderful, and you don't need to move to another city. You don't even need to be in a different location. There is so much that you think you need to change in order to feel good. It's a very conditional response to life. And we're just asking for a little while. That instead of asking a condition to change so that you can have a better feeling response, we're just asking you to be unconditional in your love. Set all of that aside for just a little while and find love. Find that satisfying place. and then let it morph into the conditions that are pleasing. So we might be saying, yep, we're saying it. Yes, it's exactly what we're saying. You're not going to change those conditions. You're going to change a vibration that leads to a vibration that leads to a vibration that leads to a vibration that will allow a change in a condition. So when we say to you, your inner being knows all of that path and is ready to jump in with you with whatever information you're ready to receive. Jump right in with you. Just a bird in the back. Did we get there for you, or you want something more?
I think we got there.
Can't even find it.
I
Can't even find it, because in the explanation, in the resonance that you found with all of this, what you were asking for is for us to give you some information about the steps to take.
That's true.
You want us to get out there in the nitty-gritty of what you're living and say, do this and don't do this and do this and don't do that. But
I feel like, in a way, you did answer it.
oh, we answered it. We answered it. The fun that we're having with you now is that we want you to realize, just in this conversation, you've vibrationally gotten ready to be ready to be ready, and so now that question no longer applies.
That's good, yeah.
That question doesn't apply anymore, because that question has a premise that isn't valid.
It's interesting.
It's a good word. Oh, you know, one of the most wonderful things about being a deliberate creator is that once you get the essence of this and you've got it, and you don't have to try to remember anything. In other words, we really are not asking you to make this a scientific project. In other words, you heard it and you resonated with it because your inner being already knows it. So now, as you just take the first step of just deciding that you are going to get it 15 minutes earlier if it's necessary in order to find a little time of quiet in your mind, and you find yourself feeling the satisfaction of that, then what will happen is, when you feel that first thought burst into your mind and you realize that a vibration has turned to a thought and you witnessed it, that you quieted your mind and then you witnessed the becoming of a thought, and then you were able to maintain it enough that the thought gathered some momentum until the thought turned from satisfying to a really interesting, enthusiastic thought. And then you saw rendezvous begin to happen, and you actually felt yourself wanting to say, the magic has started. It's not magic. We just like that word because the forces of the universe are cooperating on my behalf, and I'm ready. The feeling of satisfied, worthy readiness is going to consume you. And from then on, you're on your way. From then on, you will come closer and closer to knowing that there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. You'll just know it. And so then, right away, just with the first few days of this slight shift within you, when you were reminded of something that you've wanted before that has given you angst just to think about it, because you knew what you want, you just don't know how or where or when or who. But now, that thought feels more soothing to you because you just say softly to yourself, well, I'll be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready to allow that. And meanwhile, I'm really enjoying that. So you begin to enjoy the unfolding. And what's so wonderful about that is that you're always going to be unfolding. You're never going to get to the place where it's all manifested. Looking for life the way most people are looking for it can never bring you satisfaction, because you're expanding so much more rapidly than you even know. So if we can convince you, and you know we are giving it everything that Esther's tongue can give, if we can convince you that what you're looking for is the satisfaction factor and it's moment by moment by moment by moment by moment. We gave an analogy the other day, and maybe it will resonate with you. Someone said to Esther that it helped them, so we're going to give it to you again. And that is, one day, many years ago, when Esther was still a teenager, she was giving a speech at graduation, and it was something that she and her mother had written weeks and weeks before, and Esther was determined that she was going to memorize it to deliver it. And so every time she got into the bathtub, she went as far as she could go. She went as far as she could go, and then she couldn't remember. And so then she would review it, and the next time she would be in the bathtub, she would go as far as she could go and that much further. And then she got to the place where she couldn't remember. And so then she would review it in the next day or two because she had weeks to prepare for this. So each time she would start at the beginning and then go as far as she could go, and start at the beginning and go as far as she could go, and start at the beginning and go as far as she could go. And before long, because what she knew at the part that she knew from the beginning gave her the stability to expect that she could tack on the next part.